Right, let's get into this. It's a strange time to be a Celtic supporter. That weird mix of optimism for the season ahead and growing frustration with how things are unfolding off the pitch. And look, if you've been anywhere near the comment sections lately, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone's got strong opinions, emotions are running high, and honestly, it's because people care. We all want the best for Celtic, but caring doesn't mean just cheering blindly. Sometimes it means calling things out when they don't look right. And at this moment, the feeling around the club is anything but clear. We're just days away from the start of the new campaign, and it feels like we're still miles off where we should be in terms of squad depth and readiness. The preseason's done, the training camps are finished, but the transfer market, the transfer market is where the nerves are fraying. We've got positions that urgently need filled, but for some reason it all feels a bit slow, disjointed, reactive instead of proactive. And if you're a Celtic fan, you know we've been here before, too many times in fact. Let's talk transfers because that's where the anxiety is bubbling. Right now it's obvious we need at least 3 first-team ready players, not squad fillers, not projects. We're talking proper experience signings who can walk into the starting 11. A centre-half to slot alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers. A right winger to replace Lee Labada, who we all knew was going to move on. And of course, a striker, not just any striker, but someone who can genuinely replace Kyogo's presence in the team. That's the big one. Kyogo was more than just goals. He was the spark, the movement, the link-up, and without him we're missing a major part of what made us tick up front. There's also a shout for a left winger depending on what's happening with Jota's situation. Maybe that one comes in on loan, that's fine, but those 3 other positions, center back, right wing, striker, they can't be patched over. They need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed properly. We've seen what happens when we try to wing it. Last season, second half told that story in painful detail. No Kyogo, no like-for-like replacement. And it showed, not just in results, but in the entire energy of the team. Now, to be fair, I'll give the club credit where it's due. In terms of outgoings, they've actually done all right. A lot of deadwood has been shifted. Bain's gone. Lager-Bielk's gone. Kwan's out. Nurovsky, Palmatilio, all heading out on loans that could lead to permanent deals. Adam Montgomery's at Livingston. Jude Bonner and Kyle, you are off to Ayr United under Scott Brown. That's decent business, and it helps clean up the wage bill. It sharpens the squad, but clearing the decks is only half the job. You've got to fill it with quality, and that's where things get sticky. Because what we've seen so far is a club that feels like it's always reacting, never really ahead of the curve. Take the Nicholas situation. Everyone knew he was leaving, everyone. And yet when he finally moved on, the immediate response looked chaotic. Were we going for Isaac Jansen? Seemed like it. Then poof, he's in a nice shirt holding up a scarf. And we're back to square one. It doesn't scream we had a plan. It screams we're scrambling again. Look, it's not like signing players is easy. Brendan Rodgers has said it himself. There are a lot of moving parts. Clubs, agents, players, fees, wages, sell-ins. It's complicated, but it's complicated for everyone. And yet other clubs seem to get it done. You look at Sporting Lisbon. They knew their talisman Victor Gyökeres was leaving, and before the ink was dry on his move to Arsenal, they had Luis Suarez signed from Almeria for 25 million euros. That's what proactive recruitment looks like. The fans might not be happy about losing a star, but at least they see the club is prepared, that there's a plan, that the football department is functioning like a serious operation. And that's what Celtic feels like it's missing right now. A sense of structure, a clear football identity at the top level. Under Ange Postecoglou we had that. He came and brought his own people, Mark Law well included, and the club actually started behaving like a modern outfit. Christopher Julian out Carl Starfelton almost instantly. Alistair Johnston arrives before Juranovic even leaves. Giacomakis goes, comes in. Seamless transitions, no panic, no public drama. Just efficient business. It was a breath of fresh air. Compare that to now. We've got reports that we've made multiple bids for Jakob Brekalo from Go Ahead Eagles. Bids that apparently aren't even halfway to what the club wants. Why are we wasting time on offers that were never going to be accepted? Either the guy is the one we want or he isn't, and if he is, just get the deal done. Otherwise, move on. It's that indecisiveness that wears people down. You can't run a club our size with that level of dithering, and look, while we're on it, it's not just about what's happening on the pitch. The mood around the club more broadly isn't great either. There's a perception, and perception matters, that the board sees fans as cash cows. Prices are up again. Season tickets cost more, friendly against Newcastle not included. More kits than you can count, and Celtic TV now hiding. Clips behind paywalls, it all adds up. And the result is that supporters feel more like customers than members of a family. That sense of us against the world that used to define Celtic has faded a bit. And the board would do well to remember that. But here's the thing, and this might surprise some of you. I'm still excited for the season ahead, genuinely. If you ask me whether I'm looking forward to it or dreading it, it's 100% the former. Because despite all the frustration, all the off-field issues, all the slow transfers, this is still a really good Celtic team. Maybe not a complete one yet, but one with huge potential. You look at players like Alistair Johnston. For me, the best right back we've had in years. Cameron Carter-Vickers is one of the most dominant centre halves we've seen since Van Dijk. Callum McGregor, a phenomenal captain, a proper leader. Had it made a Jota, even if he's in limbo. There's real talent here, and then there's the promise of improvement. Guys who showed flashes last season but can kick on this year. Austin Trusty looks more composed. Odin Diogo home could be a revelation. Adamita might not be everyone's cup of tea, but he will score goals at this level. We've seen it. And if we do get the right signings in, even to out of the 3 we desperately need, this squad is strong enough to go toe-to-toe with anyone in Scotland. But I get why people are anxious, especially with Rangers looking stronger. Let's be honest, they were a shambles for most of last season. And we still had to work for the title. If they've sorted themselves out even slightly, it's going to be a harder league campaign. But I'm not afraid of that. In fact, I welcome it. That's what football's all about. Challenges. Pressure. Rising to the occasion. And with Brendan Rodgers back at the helm, I still believe we've got the best manager in the country. The guy knows how to win. He knows how to manage a title race. And he knows how to get the best out of his players when it matters. Thing is, we've been here before. This exact conversation. Go back 12 months and you'll find us saying the same things. Worrying about the same gaps, moaning about the same lack of urgency in the transfer window. And how did that season turn out? We won a double, had our best European run in over a decade, played some of the most exciting football we've seen in years, especially before the World Cup break. So maybe, just maybe, we need to remember that not everything has to be perfect before the first whistle blows. Yes, we want signings. Yes, we want ambition. Yes, we demand better. But also we've got to back the team we do have. Back the manager, back the captain, back the badge. Because there's still more than enough quality in that dressing room to go out and defend the title. And maybe even push for more. And finally, let's not get sucked in by the noise across the city. Every preseason it's the same story. Rangers are champions in waiting. They've won the transfer window. They've figured it all out. Media hypes them up. Pundits suddenly believe they've cracked the code. And yet come May at Celtic, who usually lift the silverware, that's not a guarantee. Nothing is in football, but history tells. US who delivers when it matters most. So frustrations are valid, concerns are real. But don't lose sight of the bigger picture. This team is far from finished, and so is this window. Let's see what the next few weeks bring. Right now, if the first part felt like we were holding Celtic's feet to the fire over transfer business, then this next part is about putting everything back into perspective. Because even while we're right to demand more from the club, more urgency, more vision, more transparency, it's also important to zoom out a bit and look at what's actually there. Because the narrative that everything's falling apart, it's not quite stacking up. When you actually look at the football, the squad, the manager, the overall state of things, this isn't a Celtic side in crisis. This is a Celtic side that's got the tools, the spine, the experience, and the hunger to win again, and I get it. The online reaction lately has been heavy. There's been some extreme negativity, and honestly some of it just doesn't reflect what's happening on the pitch. We're coming off a preseason where the team looked sharp, focused, and importantly, settled in Brendan Rodgers' system. And say what you want about Rodgers, but the man knows how to build a unit. He's not here to collect paychecks and reminisce about his first spell. He came back to win. And he knows full well what's expected of him. We've already seen signs of progress. The football has a purpose again. Structured, quick, vertical when needed, but with enough discipline to stay compact when we're not in possession. That's something we lacked in parts last season, especially late on, when the balance in the midfield disappeared after injuries and January inertia. This preseason, though, you can see the plan, and more importantly, the players look bought in. Guys like Haddad, who at times looked unsettled last season, seem reinvigorated. Maeda is his usual relentless self. Alistair Johnston is absolutely flying down that right flank. There's cohesion, there's fight, there's clarity. Let's talk about Cameron Carter-Vickers for a second. The guy is a wall, pure and simple. When he's fit, Celtic's defensive line goes up a level instantly. You can't really overstate his importance. The team trusts him. He dominates in duels. He reads the game superbly. You put a solid partner beside him, and yes, that needs to happen quickly, and suddenly you've got the foundation of a proper back four. Add Johnston bombing down the right and assuming Greg Taylor or someone new steps up on the left. You've got a balance that lets the midfield play. Midfield, by the way, is looking strong. McGregor, as always, is the heartbeat. He's one of those players you almost take for granted now because he never dips below a 7 out of 10. Always available, always intelligent, always leading. And next to him you've got Hadit Bernardo home and even Quan gone out to clear space. For more progressive midfielders, the blend is there. McGregor the metronome, Hadit the creator. Bernardo adding that box-to-box engine, and then you've got options behind them. Iwata still an intriguing utility player, and hopefully Paulo Bernardo coming back even sharper. Then we've got the forwards. Now yes, the Kyogo departure is massive. No sugarcoating it. You don't lose a player of his caliber and just shrug. He was the guy who made our press work, who dragged defenders into spaces, who created chaos in the box with sheer movement. But here's the thing, Celtic have coped with big losses before. Moussa Dembele left, Eduard left, Jota left. It's about what you do next. And while Adamita might not be the shiny name people want, he's already proven he can lead the line in this league. Physical, quick, and deceptively good in his link-up play. He's not Kyogo, but he doesn't have to be. He just needs to score, hold the ball, press when needed, and give us a presence. And beyond Ida, you've got Shen Yamada. Look, the lad's raw. No one's pretending he's the finished article, but the early signs have been promising. Intelligent movement, technical control, and not afraid to get stuck in. If he hits the ground running, it gives Brendan Rodgers a wild card to play with. That's what we've lacked for years, unpredictability off the bench. Options that change a game, not just like swaps. Let's not forget Luis Palma either. Inconsistent last season, absolutely, but there's a player in there. You saw it in flashes. The crossing, the delivery from set pieces the Onion owns. If Brendan gets more out of him this year, that's almost like a new signing in itself. Same goes for Young. He's shown glimpses. That's all you want in year one. Glimpses. Now he needs to turn those into consistent contributions. Now, I know some folk are sitting thinking, that's all well and good, but what about Europe? And that's fair. The Champions League qualifier is looming, and let's be honest, it's no gimme. These are the matches that define our early season. Rhythm. Slip up there and the entire tone of the campaign shifts. Financially, emotionally, tactically. But again, we've been in tougher spots before. And I'd argue that with this core group and Brendan Rodgers at the helm, we've got a better shot than many seem to think. What matters now is momentum. Celtic need to come out flying against St. Mirren, make a statement. Get the fans back on side, at least in terms of the football. Because no matter how angry people are at the board, and rightly so, a strong performance on the pitch goes a long way to resetting the mood. That's the reality of supporting a club like ours. You want to hold the directors accountable, but you also want to believe, to hope, to dream of big European nights, trophies in May, and late winners at Parkhead under the lights. Now let me say this because it needs to be said, none of this is a plea for blind faith. Celtic fans are some of the smartest in football. They know when they're being spun a line. They know when a plan is falling apart, and they're right to be skeptical. But there's a difference between skepticism and fatalism. Between asking questions and assuming the worst. The doom and gloom stuff, it's a bit much. If you believe in Brendan Rodgers, if you believe in Callum McGregor, then you've got to give this squad a chance to breathe before writing off the season. Before it's even started. And while we're here, Rangers, let's talk about them. Because you can't talk about the season ahead without talking about the challenge across the city. And look, it's true. They're going to be better. Probably a lot better. They've invested. They've got continuity now. They're hungry after being second best again. But you know what? That's fine. That's football. If anything, it raises the standard. Makes our wins mean more. Forces us to stay sharp. And Celtic, when pushed, have a history of responding. Brendan Rodgers knows that rivalry better than most. He's faced down Rangers in all their various iterations and come out on top more often than not. He knows what it means to navigate a title race, to deal with the noise, the pressure, the media slants, and more importantly, his teams always peak when the stakes are highest. That's why he's here, not to rebuild from scratch, but to evolve what we already had. To tweak, refine, and elevate. So where do we stand really if the season started tomorrow with no more signings? Would this squad be titler-ready? That's a tough one. On paper, probably yes, but we'd be cutting it close. Injuries, suspensions, fatigue. It'd all take a toll, and that's why the next few weeks in the window are so critical. We must get those final pieces in, a center back to offer depth and presence, a right winger who brings pace and goals, and ideally a striker with a real pedigree. Someone who steps in and makes a statement. That's how you build a team that doesn't just compete but dominates. And let's not repeat the mistakes of last January, waiting too long, hoping someone steps up, trying to patch holes with optimism instead of action. Celtic as a club are in a financial position to spend. There's no excuse not to. We've got Champions League revenue. We've cleared out high earners. The fan base is massive and engaged. Now's the time to show ambition, not just talk about it. And that's the challenge for the board. Because you can't keep asking fans to fork out more for season tickets, kits, and subscriptions if you're not going to reinvest meaningfully. But again, I'll finish this bit by saying, this isn't a lost cause. Far from it. Celtic are in a strong position. Not perfect, but strong. The squad is experienced. The manager is elite. And the fans, for all their frustration, are ready to rally behind a team that gives them something to believe in. All it takes is a little bit of courage from the top. A willingness to act decisively, not react desperately. And if that happens, this could still be a brilliant season. So let's stay sharp. Let's keep demanding better. But let's also not forget who we are. This is Celtic Football Club. A club built on fight, faith, and football that flows through generations. We don't crumble under pressure. We thrive in it. And if the right moves are made, just a few quality signings, then there's no reason why this group can't go again. Domestically. In Europe. All of it. We've done it before. We can do it again. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers are growing louder around the east end of Glasgow, as speculation brews that Turkish wonderkid Arda Guler could be on his way to Celtic Park. The 19-year-old midfielder, who signed for Real Madrid with much fanfare just last year, is now the subject of intense chatter linking him with a potential loan move to the Hoops. No official word has come from either club, but the rumor mill is in full swing. Guler, hailed as the Turkish Messi in his homeland, has struggled to secure regular minutes in Madrid's star-studded squad. Though his talent is undoubted, opportunities have been limited, and with Euro 2028 on the horizon, game time is crucial for the youngster's development. Insiders suggest Celtic might be exploring a loan deal, possibly sweetened by their recent success in developing young players and offering them a stage in European competitions. With Champions League football once again on the cards for the boys, Parkhead could present the ideal proving ground for Guler to reignite his rhythm and confidence. Brendan Rodgers is known to be an admirer of technical players with flair, and Guler's vision, close control, and eye for goal would certainly add sparkle to the Celtic midfield. Some say there's already been contact between intermediaries, though nothing concrete has surfaced yet. It's worth noting that Real Madrid are protective of their rising star, and any loan would likely come with strict conditions. But with Celtic eager to reinforce their squad and real keen for Guler to develop outside the suffocating spotlight of the Bernabeu, a deal might just make sense for all parties for now. It remains in the realm of murmurs and what-ifs. But one thing is clear, if Arda Guler were to pull on the green and white hoops, it would be one of the most exciting signings in recent Celtic history. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.